and linked arms. I encourage you to do this wherever you are because it's going to make you feel so much stronger in your business. And so we are bringing everyone together for more collaborations, exposure, connections, and business. Hey, I almost forgot that. Okay, and we work with professionals who want to optimize their business through what is it, everybody? 3 things: social media, educational exchange, and networking events. Our topic today is how to market yourself, everybody here, and your business. So we made that segregation on purpose because actually it is simultaneous, those 2 things. And I have a very special guest here whom I consider to be an expert in this field, and I mean that, Bruce. First of all, you are an advisor for a reason on the BOCI platform. You own your own business, Proforma South, and South Print. And you also, Sarah, could you grab one of our brochures? I need one of those. You do our printing for us. You did this banner right here, and we have people that are asking about the banners. So the tangible pieces that you are able to put in people's hands are magnificent, and your prices are great. Not only that, your customer service is outstanding, but you know what you're doing. And that's the reason why you're sitting in the hot chair, the hot seat, the gold chair today. So I wanted to invite you to, first of all, give us pointers on how to market ourselves as well as our business when it comes to a coffee cup or a business card or a brochure or a flyer and so forth. And you take it from here, Bruce Orpit.
Thank you, Sherry. I appreciate it, and I love BOCI. I love the energy in the room. I loved your event yesterday. That was an awesome event, and I just want to say, if you want to get some good pointers just by looking around, look at your event yesterday. It was a great event, put on by you, put on by a great bank. They sponsored it at a great restaurant.
Yes.
And it wasn't one of those high sale presentations that you might see sometimes, because if somebody is selling you on their business, you know, they're probably gonna lose you if that's all they're talking about. But they were smart, and they talked about something we all wanna know about, and that's the Social Security and what's going on with that, how's it gonna affect you?
That's right.
And so they spoke about that for like 30 minutes, and not about their bank.
That's right.
However, when it was all said and done, they're probably gonna get new business and new referrals, because they didn't do that. They kinda did it in a way to where they were providing you with a service that affects you personally, but they'll end up getting business from it.
It's called backdoor marketing. At least that's what I've coined it as.
Yeah, and I almost hate to say that because it sounds, you know, kind of.
But it's really true.
Right.
It really is true, especially if there's a benefit to the people that are there. And Shelley, I think you were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say it's a typical giver's gain. I mean, you give and you give and you give,
Yes.
and the law of reciprocity means it's going to come back. It may not come back directly, it may be indirect, but it will come back. It's
Right.
sowing
Yes.
and reaping.
I believe that. So let's start. First of all, Bruce, we will be swinging back to you, but this is going to be very engaged. And so we're going to our Twitter. And for those of you who are watching online, please tweet to @BOCoffee and join the conversation. I see that Jackie Yoakley, who could that be? Right here, followed us. And Patrick Campbell favorited one of our tweets, which is about BOCI Click and Connect. Proposal favorited a tweet we were mentioned in, and how to market yourself online. Does anyone know these people? Isn't that a good thing? We do now. Hello. Sarah Henley, who is in the room taking a photo behind you, says, how to market yourself online and offline, told by Bruce Orpet. Am I saying your name right now? I used to say Orpet.
Orpet.
Now it's Orpet.
Pretty good.
Okay. And Sherry Henley, BOCI, BOCoffee, marketing yourself, SEO. Well, there you go, Mike. We're speaking your language. Glenn Green, who is in the building right here, who says, Lost it. I lost it. Well, that's because he absolutely, you've got to talk to him about what they do and see his before and after picture. It's amazing. At BO Coffee, what can you do to effectively market yourself and your market to your most receptive audience? Okay, good. This is a question that came in by Glenn. Glenn says, what can you do to effectively market yourself and your market to your most receptive audience? So Bruce, you go first, and then I will chime in on this.
Well, to the question, I think the key there is your most receptive audience. You know, you've got to figure out who your audience is before you go try to sell anything. And one of the things that I like to do is keep it simple, because if you try to complicate things, it ends up just becoming too much and you lose your focus and nothing gets done. As an example, I like to break things down, think about from the beginning. I'll take a piece of paper out and I'll write out, okay, what am I gonna do? Who am I trying to reach? And how am I gonna do it? So, but where you start is so important. And so I like to use the analogy, start with a business card, because you know, we all have business cards. We've all got them. We stick them in our pocket, hopefully. And because if you don't have it and you're not handing them out by the dozens, they're not doing you any good.
That's true.
But business card says a lot about who you are.
It does.
Because it's like when people will hand me a business card sometimes, I will look at it and I will judge that person and that business by their business card. I don't, you know, go out to judge somebody by their business card, but it's something I can't help. Because if somebody hands me a real flimsy card that doesn't look good, or it's been copied from somebody else's stuff, you know, then I kind of go, well, you know, how dynamic is this person, or how dynamic is this business? And I do that all in about 5 seconds when somebody hands me their business card.
Yes.
So it's important, whatever you do, make sure you do it right. Make sure that it says something about you and your business, whether how it looks, what it says, or how it works.
And your branding should be the same across the board as well.
Consistency is so important. Always maintain consistency. Just like I use BOCI, you know, you guys do a great job because you have lots of stuff with your logo on it. And whether it's this banner, you've got your logo all over it there.
Right.
Whether it's your coffee cups right here,
Right.
whether it's your Facebook page, your Twitter account, these events, the flyers, you do that and you do a good job of it because you keep it consistent, you keep it simple, and it's very recognizable. It's
I'm
top of mind.
glad you brought up the topic of a logo, because a logo is so very important. In fact, I'm working on one just for me right now for a website that's going in my name. So even as an individual, we talk about how to market yourself and your business. I think that there's definitely a place that you get to where you, on LinkedIn, you're not marketing as a business. Yes, they have a company page, but you're mostly going to market yourself on LinkedIn, connect with others. So having that logo for yourself and your business. Now, taking that to really give you something tangible that you could go home and do if you wanted a logo. I don't know how many people know this, but I'm very proud to say, it's like I get so giddy when people say, I love your logo, because, and Bruce, you're probably just gonna, you're not gonna like this, I know, because this is done, it was done through a template, but I'm telling people that cannot afford to get it done in a certain way, and then we're gonna talk about what your fees are to do logos. But I went out to logomaker.com, and it's $50. And yes, they have a lot of these, what do you call it, the little icons that you don't really want to use because everybody would be using them. But it's all in how creative you are in creating that logo. I took the icon and I put the C in the middle of it, which made it look different than anybody else's. And I put business on top so that it was actually over coffee. So I had to think about, okay, how am I doing this? And another thing I loved about that site is that you can do 3 or 4 different logos, and then you can send them out to your friends privately and let them vote on the logo they like best. And so Secret is Out, that logo right there was done before our very first event with 8 people, and it was done online. I got it instantaneously for $50. Now, where Bruce came in is he took it and he turned it into a major file. What is the file that you talk about that is high res?
The common term is vector.
Vector.
And I don't know how
Yes.
common it is to most people. In my industry, it's
Right.
a very important word. What vector means is it's a high resolution file that can be edited, blown up. You can swap out colors, you can do all these different things, but it's something that you can take, you can put it on anything and tweak it down to whatever your needs are, whether it to be blow it up, put it on a 200-foot long banner that's gonna hang on top of your building, or whether it's gonna be on a business card. It's still gonna have a very, very high resolution, crisp thing that's not pixelated. Because if you try and take a PDF or a JPEG that hasn't been created from a vector file in a high resolution format, then you're gonna see that pixelation, the blurred effect, and I will take this opportunity to discourage anybody from ever trying to just go and pop a logo off of a website and put it on something, or scan a copy of a copy or something, because it just ends up affecting you in a negative way.
So tell us now, you also create logos. If someone wanted to take it to a customized, you want specifically something that you're not able to find an icon on a thing like Logo Maker and so forth,
Right.
they can come to you, and you're very inexpensive in that. So tell us what they would be looking at on a shoestring budget. A lot of us, I started with $0 with
Right.
BOCI.
Well, it all depends. There's a lot of variables. I have a friend that has become a good customer, and he spends a lot of money with me, quite frankly. And so when he wanted a logo for his hunting club, I didn't charge him. Because that's one of the things that I do. I look at every instance and every situation as unique. I'm not gonna sit there and charge this good customer of mine $100 to create a logo, knowing that what he's wanting is not gonna take me that much time, and it's something that I value him as a customer enough to where that was a value add for me. If you're a brand new customer and I don't have much of an ongoing relationship, and you want something that's not too complicated, you know, I can do them for $50 or for $75. Just depends on the complexity of what you want. But typically no more than $75 if it's something that's, you know, just a logo.
I love that. I mean, that is very, very reasonable, and your work speaks for itself. So now let's talk about the business card itself. We received many business cards yesterday from the event that we hosted at Fleming with SunTrust. And some of those business cards only had an email address on it, maybe didn't even have a phone number. Okay, so there's several things that you need to have on your business card that is very important. One is your name.
Write that down.
I've got it down right here.
No, I actually got a card that didn't have the person's name on it.
Seriously.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The other is you need to have your business logo on there. Very important, so that you're branding yourself. It needs to be a nice logo, not a logo that everyone else would be using. Yes, Vistaprint is very, very widely used, and I'm not speaking against Vistaprint because I've used Vistaprint. One thing to be careful about, though, is that you are not duplicating what 50,000 other people have got. You want to create your own look, okay? The next thing you're going to need would be a phone number. Now, you may not want to put your cell number or your house number on there if you still have a home number. Try going to Google and getting a Google number. Lois, can you tell us how to do that?
Sure, it's very, very simple. Anyone who has a Gmail or Google account can just go Google search Google Voice, and it's free. You can pretty much set it up on any type of phone, cell phone, landline phone, and you get like voicemail, which can be transcript where you can actually read it. I mean, you can text on it. I mean, it's great. I use it
Yes.
for everything.
Yes. Isn't that amazing information?
Say it again.
Say it again, how to exactly do it.
You just go go to Google and search Google Voice.
Google Voice.
Yes, because that's what it's called, Google Voice. And if you pretty much, if you already have a Gmail account, it'll just sign you in.
Okay.
And it will ask you, do you wanna add like a new number, or do you wanna use your existing number, depending on what you wanna use. And it gets you all set up, and then there's apps, like if you got a smartphone, you download the Google Voice app, and you can set up, like, I have Sprint on my phone, and I have it set up to where it intertwines with Sprint, to where even though I have a cell phone number, actually I can call it and it'll show up as my work number, as the LRD number,
Which is the Google,
which is the
Number.
Google Voice number.
okay. So it's called Google Voice, we just learned that. And who is actually sending all this information that we're talking about out to our Ustream channel and so forth? Is anyone doing that?
I'm actually posting it on Facebook.
Outstanding. So we have a lot of people sending the virtual information out, and we encourage you to keep the information coming in, those of you that are watching.
I do have a question on
Yes.
the Google Voice. Mine is out of town. I mean, I've had this number for 12 years, like we were talking about the other day, and everybody knows my number. Now, for business, can you get a local number,
Yeah, you can.
like a 901
when you
or
go
a?
set up your number, it actually asks you what type of area code you want. You enter in
Awesome.
the area code, and it gives you like all sorts of options for numbers. And
Okay.
I mean, you can just go by page just to choose the right number that you want
Yes.
for
And the-
whatever you want to use.
Okay.
The way that I actually use it is I use it through my laptop. I've got a headset and I
Uh-huh.
plug it in and I just dial and talk to them through my laptop.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Arisha?
totally free.
Actually, right now, there are no Memphis numbers.
There's no Memphis numbers.
Oh,
And there are
wow.
no northern Mississippi numbers left as well,
Okay.
because I was trying to get a Google Voice number. I got one, but it wasn't what I wanted to have,
Okay.
so.
Can you still
This
get the
area
area
is
code though?
No,
The
sir.
901, so the 901 and the 662 are gone?
662,
What about
anything
601?
in this area was gone. The
Okay.
601, I did not try lower, that's cause it's
Yeah.
more Jackson, Gulf Coast-ish,
Yeah.
228. But, no, so what I did try was, since I'm her motivation, I tried something with the word her
Yeah.
in it.
I
And I was
noticed that
able
and
to
I
get
liked
Yeah,
your
I like
number.
that too.
I was
saw
able to
that.
get that.
For your
but-
first
Yes.
3, yeah, okay.
Very nice,
Very
very
good.
nice. Okay, so that's really good information. Any further questions on that? Okay, having a phone number is so important, not just an email, but having just a phone number and not an email is also taboo. You must have an email address on there. A lot of people are using Gmail, but I highly encourage you as a business to have a legitimate corporate email account. What's your thoughts on that, Bruce?
I think anything you can do, and, image is everything.
Yes.
And not to say that, the substance is not behind whatever you're doing, but image is everything. People make an instant determination of whether they like you or don't like you or gonna use you, so often. And so, I definitely agree, if you can afford or you can manage to have a website that's like Bruce Orpit at proforma.com or whatever, it just adds integrity, it adds an element of trust.
Right.
That, let's just say if I have a business and my business is Gmail or Yahoo, sometimes people think, well, how long have they been in around? How big
Right.
are they? How much
Right.
do I trust them? So
It
that's
speaks to
definitely a good thing
credibility,
have.
even though you may be the most credible person. Now, when you say cost, it's maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lois, Bruce, Shelley, I'm thinking that it's like less than $10 a month to get a corporate email on 1&1, if I recall correctly.
Actually, you can, if you go through 1&1 and get the domain, you can actually set up your email using your domain, so honestly, you can get it for free almost.
Right. Okay, so a good
Good.
source is GoDaddy. Another good source is 1&1. It's the number 1 and then the word and then the number 1.com to be able to get those corporate emails. And I think I said $10 a month. I meant about $10 a year. It's very
Wow.
inexpensive. So just go
So
check
worth
out
it.
those prices. Yes.
Worth it.
And then the next thing I would say is an address. It's very important to have an address. No, you do not want to put your home address on there.
Right.
Okay? You do not want to put a P.O. box on there. And any of you that are, like, for instance, I lean toward Shelley, Executive Council, and Bruce, if you have a different opinion on what I'm saying, please speak up. What I'm saying is that a P.O. box, number one, says that you are transient, okay? The home address is dangerous, so you don't want to do that. So what do? There's a couple choices. Number one, Ridgeway Business Center right here, you can get an address, you can use this address, it's $60 a month, but you get a 10% discount as a professional member of Business Over Coffee. Now, if that's not something that you are interested in doing, there are other options. I highly recommend doing this, but based on your budget, I would also suggest, if you're looking for a lower budget but you need a street address, that you go to pacmail.com, FedEx, the PacMail walk-ins that are close to your home or that are in a vicinity of Memphis, maybe East Memphis or Germantown, where you want your market to be. Where's your market? That's where you're going to go. Go to a PacMail or go to a FedEx walk-in store. And they have addresses that they will sell you. The mail is actually sent there, and then you go by there and pick it up.
Yeah.
Okay? Any
Information.
questions on that? Okay. Any comments on that, Bruce?
Well, I'll just echo, that's so important. And, you know, you always hear me image, but that's my business. But it's, if a P.O. box or no address, the first thing I think is, I don't know if I trust that. You know, and you don't want that. You want from the second that you're handing them their card or the second that they're finding out about you as a business, you want them to think in a positive direction. Because the moment a negative thought goes in, it just kind of goes south from there. Think about it when you go into a restaurant and you know, and there's a hostess stand and you walk in and there's nobody standing there and you have to stand there for 2-3 minutes. It seems like 30 minutes. You get upset, and before you've even started your meal or sat down, you're kind of thinking negative thoughts. It's so important.
I do have a question though.
Yes.
You know, especially in today's environment, there's a lot of home-based businesses, multi-level marketing. You know, how do you do that? Do you still suggest going to FedEx or so that you can get another address, so that you have an address on your card?
Yeah, cause that's gonna be mine,
That's a good
is
question.
home-based.
Yeah.
Well, especially being a female or, you know, whatever.
Definitely
I
don't want the
just would-
home.
No.
No.
Okay,
And then
well,
you
it ju-
also-
I mean,
I
do you
just
just not have
encourage
an
having
address?
some kind of
I
street
have a
address,
comment.
Okay.
What about
regardless of
using
where
the
it is.
company's corporate address?
Well, that would show Warwick, Rhode Island. They think, where are you?
Well, I mean, but that's pretty substantial to know you're involved with a company that's much bigger than you.
But
That's
that's better
an
than no
idea,
address.
That's
for
a
sure.
good
That's better than
point.
no
Yeah.
address.
And if you have a local phone number on there,
I
and you've
do.
got an email address on
Yeah,
there,
and the website.
and that address, you know, then I would
I
much
mean,
rather
you
have
could
that.
put corporate
Yeah,
office, I mean,
yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
people do that.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
Very good.
yeah, preface it with that.
Okay.
And so go ahead, Beverly.
I'm wondering about a business card. Is it good or not to have a two-sided card? Is it better to leave it blank for them to write on, or to give your detailed what you do?
I personally, and this is all preference, I personally like a two-sided card because the front of your card, you want to keep it simple. You want your logo, your name, phone number, email address. You know, you want all that stuff easy to read. On the back, you can get a little bit detailed, not too much, you know, just bullet points. For instance, on mine, I've got the different areas in which my business is focused, but they're just bullet points. But I've utilized that to brand me, to reinforce my brand with the color, the style, everything else. Another thing to keep in mind, something I was talking about with Shelley today is, on the back of your card, keep in mind, if you do a glossy card, you might wanna consider and think it through, do you wanna have the back a lighter color and a matte back, so you can write on it, because some people, we don't think about those things until after you have it, you're like, darn it, I can't write on the back.
Right, and especially if you use a gel pen.
Right.
Yeah,
Forget it.
yeah.
Just forget it.
Exactly. Now, if someone were to order cards through you, I know a lot of people, and I've done it myself before I met you, they go through Vistaprint because you can get it so inexpensive. with you, your cards, I mean, feel that. I mean, I'm gonna
Big
pass this
difference.
around.
Yeah.
His
Big
cards are
difference.
fabulous, and his prices are not that much more. Tell us how much it would cost to get, what, 250 or 500 or 1,000
Okay.
cards?
Well, I suggest always getting at least 500, because what's the point of getting a business card?
I
Bob?
wanted to say that.
If
Bruce
you're gonna,
did my card.
you know, I mean, give them out, man. You don't wanna worry about, am I giving out too many, because I'll have to order more. Get 1,000, they don't cost that much. 500 for me is $35.
See, you can't
Right,
beat
that's
that, that's
great.
hand delivered.
You can't beat it.
And that's delivered, there's no other cost, there's anything like that.
Right.
And if you call me and say, hey, I changed my number, I can just fix that for you.
Right.
Now, one thing I will say, that's a 14-point card. I could do a 16-point card, which is even thicker than that, it's the same price.
Oh, wow.
And this is full color, both sides, you don't have to worry about paying more for X, Y, or Z, it's all.
And you're
same
getting
price.
ready to do our cards, we're doing a remake on our cards, so, also Wise said that Bruce did her cards, and, so I highly recommend.
Yeah, Bruce did my cards and he's done, I don't know how many sets for us for
Yeah.
other people.
Right, so that covers a lot of information, and we just had this discussion, Sarah and I, as we were looking at business cards that we had collected. And, you know, I would just shake my head when I would see some of them, because you and your business are the same. When people look at you, they see her motivation or her groove. When they look at you, Beverly, they see GSA, Glory Shine Adornment, right? And so if you came out today, would you wanna wear, you know, your sweatpants and an old t-shirt? Would that be the image you would want to portray? No, you want to portray the best image you have. Well, the same thing applies with your marketing strategy, and a lot of us are doing that on a shoestring budget. So next, we're going to go to another question that, Shelley, I think that you would best answer this, because, and also Mike can chime in on this, because SEO is involved here. And this comes from Lois Raleigh Durham, and it says, what is the best way to market my business to attract new clients? We'll start with Shelley.
Well, what I recommend is that if you have a website, you do an analysis that lets you see and read the website, if you will, the way Google does. And it's complimentary through Business Over Coffee, and we're happy to do that. It's an educational opportunity to see, are you a brochure hanging out online that just looking good? Or are you feeding meat to the spiders that are coming around from Google, and those spiders go back with information that says, hey, these people know what they're talking about. So search engine optimization will really allow you to go up in the rankings in the search engine. I would also say, it hasn't been mentioned yet, being online with LinkedIn, boy, if you are not taking advantage of the business professional network online, you are missing the mark. And I have to say that after we had J.D. Gershbein in from Chicago last week at the Great Women, Great Things Conference, even my college professor husband, who didn't understand why he should be on LinkedIn, finally got it. Very prominent author with the first ever music theory textbook with a robust online component, duh. Of course,
Right.
you'll never see this.
And
I'm
he
not
finally
putting
got
John
it,
down,
right?
But he just didn't see
Right.
the value, but he is an expert in his field.
Yes.
And anybody who has any kind of expertise, you need to have that on LinkedIn. 93% of the people are checking you out online,
That's right.
even if you've been referred by somebody else.
That's exactly right.
I met with somebody yesterday, she checked me out on LinkedIn before the J.D. Gershbein makeover and after the J.D. Gershbein makeover, and she admitted that to me. So don't miss
Interesting.
that, it's not gonna cost you a
That's
dime
right.
to be on. It could cost you a little bit in consulting to get it
Right.
where you're really
Well,
using the psychology of LinkedIn to your
And
advantage.
speaking of that, we do have the pay-per-view link that will be released soon, to where you can watch this for, what does he normally charge to do this?
$5,000 for a half
Yes.
day.
And I
So-
think it's going to be it's somewhere in the
$50 range,
proximity
yeah.
of $50 to be
Right.
able to get this link and watch the whole thing and
2.5
rewatch it and
hour.
rewatch it and do what you need to do to your LinkedIn profile. So that will be coming down the pike very soon. Mike, would you comment on the SEO component?
SEO involves so many things, it's hard to know where to start. I would think that the first thing I would do is I would think about my business and what the keywords are, and think of it from the terms of what a person that's not in your business is actually likely to enter into the search engine to try to find your business. And a lot of times that's difficult because you're so familiar with your business, you're thinking in technical terms. In fact, I tell prospects sometimes that they need me to help them with that, because actually the less I know about their business, the better off they are, because that's one of the few things where you can say, I'm better off if I don't know anything about your business than if I know all about your business. And I'm also a very cynical person, so I've always taken what Google says as the right thing to do and check it out and experiment a lot to see if it actually works. But as I say, there is so much involved, it's hard to sum it up in a few minutes, because I can just ramble
Sure.
and talk. And
I understand.
and go
Yes,
on, so.
and Shelley had a comment to piggyback on
Well,
that.
since you're giving free advice out there, Google has a free keyword tool that if you just Google AdWords or Google free tool, it'll come right up. And it will allow you to go in and take a single word, or what's called a long tail keyword, a phrase. And essentially what you're trying to do is have a conversation with a lover online that's looking for your products. You're
Sure.
trying to talk to them in the language that they're seeking, just like Mike said. But this is a way for you to do a no-charge search to see how people are looking for you, because it not only shows you how many monthly searches there are locally and nationally, which would be
So it gives you the metrics.
right, it gives you the metrics, but it
Mhm.
also, they give you suggestions based on what you've put in. It will give you some suggestions that may be a better phraseology that are connected to.
Very nice.
talk
It's
to
great
Mike.
to have
Talk
two
to
experts
Mike.
here on
Yeah.
that. That's great. So we now have a couple comments coming in. Marcus over here says, remember you are the CEO of you. That's
Yeah,
powerful,
great.
isn't it? I love that. Glenn over here says, with the best business people in the area at VOCI. Thank you, Glenn. And then we do have a question from Jackie here. And her question is, how do I get started in marketing? How do I get started in marketing? So starting from the ground up, the first step would be getting all those pieces together for your business card. Where are you in terms of your business card?
I have one, but it's horrible. I need to start over. I realize it's a
Talk to Bruce.
Vistaprint. It's a
Okay.
Vistaprint canned logo. So I do have someone who's working on a logo for me, but
Okay.
I'm starting again.
So maybe a sidebar conversation on
Yes,
that.
definitely.
So that's where I would say to start with all the pieces and elements that we talked about, and we did not discuss the QR code. Can you tell us the benefit of a QR code, and for those of us who are not familiar with a QR code, what it is?
Well, QR codes are, it's kind of like a barcode in a sense, which I'm sure you've all seen barcodes on your cans of canned goods at the store, whatever. But it's a way that you can encode a direct link to your website. And if you can just scan your phone, and you do need a QR code app, but they're free. You can just Google it, or you can put it on your search for your Play Store or something. But those are free. And literally, man, they work great, because you can put them anywhere. You can put them on an ink pen real small, or you can put it on a T-shirt real big. And all you gotta do is scan your phone. I've done it. All right, okay, here's this. You can stare at me. Or, excuse me, it's not okay to stare at me, but you can scan me.
You can, oh
Oh,
my
wow.
goodness.
And that was-
That is
That was something I
neat.
put on a T-shirt, and I was just thinking one day, and that just popped in my head, and so I wrote it down, and I thought, I'm gonna put that on a T-shirt.
And put it
everybody
on the
loved it.
front, and then for women. You put
Right.
it on the
Yeah.
front, and then you
Scan
scan
the
the back.
But, it's kind of dumb, but it's catchy.
Catchy,
And that's
yeah.
what you want. You want somebody to
I
stop
like
and
that.
think and go, wow, that was cool. And so there's a positive thought there.
Okay, all right, so you're on to something here. Our next T-shirts that we get the business over coffee in front, I want that other stuff on the back.
Absolutely.
You can do that.
Yes,
Or you can run it down
yes.
the sleeve or
I
whatever
love
you
it,
want
I
to do.
love it, I love it. Okay, good. So, there's other pieces that you can actually do at, launch out to at no cost, and that is the things we've talked about. The address, making sure you've got all those things. It's very important. That's your first step in starting. Do not order a card until you have all of those things taken care of, okay? That's the first step. The second step is making sure that you're utilizing various things that are free online. Marisha, tell us about the beautiful flyers that you've been putting out and how you're doing that.
Okay, I actually am doing that on PowerPoint.
You're doing it on PowerPoint, but what's the other? The online
Oh,
flyer,
S'more.
digital.
S'more.
Yes.
S'more.
Tell us how to
Love
get
it.
there and speak
S'more.
loud so the
Yes,
people.
it's just s'more.com, and you just go in and create an account with them, and it'll pop right up to design your flyer. It's very easy. You just select your photo, put it in there, and add your text. Has a few other things that you can play with video and audio
Yes.
and stuff like that if you want to, but just to get the information out, it's s'more.com.
That's SMORE.com.
Yes.
It is a free digital flyer. It also has incredible metrics.
It does.
So, for instance, chapter leaders, you can actually use our platform if you want to, because we've paid for the upgrade. You can upgrade to get all the
Okay.
metrics of how many people have hit, where they're coming from. You can transfer, if you've done an eBright event, which by the way, write that down as well, eBright, is that right?
Eventbrite.
Eventbrite. Eventbrite. That Bright is BRITE.com. It's a free platform to put your events on, to be able to sell tickets at either a price and attach them to your PayPal, or to have a free ticket. But still, it gives you a nice Excel spreadsheet of everyone that RSVP'd and so forth. You can go over to s'more.com and click on Eventbrite, and it will transfer everything over to your flyer.
Oh, wow.
So it's amazing how this works. So that is another piece that I would say, in starting up, if you're not able to do a website yet, make sure your Business Over Coffee profile is complete. You can actually customize that and everything, do your blogs, all of that. Work toward getting a website. Use those flyers, and then the next step would be getting your website. You need to make sure that it happens. And people say, do I go get a Facebook first and then get a website? No. You need to get your website first. It's very important to have that presence, but you don't just get a flyer out there, a digital flyer that looks good. You get something that is right, that has that back end that's going to tell you what your market is, and I'm way out of my element on this. Shelley, would you chime in there and save me from this?
It's complicated, but I would say there are some people who would do, a landing page for you. I know that Lois does it.
Yes.
Do a landing page for you. You don't have to have all the back end, but it can be constructed so you pay as you go and add more pages. If you do a website that's on a WordPress platform, then you'll be able, every time you add a blog post, it's like adding a page to your website. And so again, the spiders are coming around from Google and going, whoa, this is good content. These people know what they're talking about. So it doesn't have to be cost prohibitive. I would definitely talk to Lois
Yes.
about that.
And your landing page could even be, to start, could be the upgrade on s'more.com. It gives all of the statistics, and you could go in there and beef that up, and you can see, we'll have 100 people hit that every day. And we'll see, oh my goodness, we've got 100 people that have hit the flyer. And yes, it's a beautiful brochure out there, but you are getting the stats on it, and that's what I like about it. So that would be a good starting point for individuals.
I wanted to ask a question, because I'm on Facebook, and evidently it's not coming through on my tweet page, my Twitter page. But my question is, Bruce knows that my company is wrapped around nonprofit.
Yes.
And so, although I'm beginning to build up my company, which is why it's Joyful Company, most of the work that I'm doing right now is through the American Cancer Society network, and that way. So my question is to Bruce, how to separate my volunteer work through my Wise Joyful Company so that I am marketing myself and that company.
Again, there's probably different schools of thought on that. Personally, I would probably kind of try and separate them out in a sense to where I would probably have a separate business card for each one of those.
Okay.
And because they're so different in what you do and in what you're trying to achieve. And sometimes if you've got too much information on one, people get confused. And the last thing you want to do is confuse anybody.
Exactly.
You know, people like to keep it simple. And, they always say, you write newspapers on an 8th grade level. There's a reason for that, because people like to keep it simple. Because they scan, they read. In today's world, there's so much information out there. You want to keep it simple, and you want to get that clear message to them quickly.
Okay.
May I add a different point of view on that? I agree with you 90% of the time, but also when you think about sustainability and social responsibility, which is coming more and more in play, not on just the big corporate level, but on the small business entrepreneurial level. My website that is now under reconstruction, when they come, they've got an opportunity to click on integrity-based communications, living on purpose, and leadership development. Well, Y could do the same thing. She could have two options. You could have a website that says, if you're a corporate, if you're a large corporation, click here, and it takes you down that path.
Right.
If you're a small business owner or entrepreneur, click here, and it takes you down that path.
Right.
Well, her work with cancer is inextricably bound with who she is. That's part of her brand. So she could have Wise Joyful here and American Cancer Society here, and it's the portal, it's the path that allows the consumer who wants to do relationship with Y to
Right.
go down the path that they want to go down.
Yes.
And one could very definitely influence the other. They may be so taken by what she's doing on behalf of the nonprofit world that they definitely want to transition over to doing business with her in the for-profit world.
Well, and I agree with that. And I could also say that, going back to marketing, for instance, companies sponsor things because they want to be associated with something that people are passionate about. For instance, if Sailor South or C Spire sponsors the Memphis Tigers, they do that because, number one, they'll get, they've got great visibility there. But number two, they're targeting an audience that's passionate about the Tigers. And so if you're passionate about the Tigers and C Spire is the official wireless provider for the Tigers, hey, why don't I be a C Spire customer? And so, that's what Shelley is talking about. But sometimes, and this is something you have to be careful about, is to not put them all together too much to where people aren't sure what you're doing. They make sure they know that you're involved with the Cancer Society, and that's something that's near and dear to your heart. But if you're trying to get out and sell a product or a service to somebody, you want to make sure that they know what it is you're selling or what it is you're marketing.
Yes, and to add to that, and I'll come back to you, Rico, and it ties into both of you and what you're saying, is that one of the things that I've seen Delmar Johnson do, I've seen Patrina Singletary do, because they had so many elements, and I see, Melinda, you have so many things that you're doing. And what they've done is they've built an umbrella. So, the Singletary Network is what Patrina calls hers. And then underneath that, she has all these elements of things that she does. And she ties it all in together so that it becomes one. I started out that way with Imagine Your Celebration, planning events. I had the Business Over Coffee event. I had these events, and then I merged everything into one. I still plan events every week, right? But it's Business Over Coffee. So by creating an umbrella, it also helps you pinpoint. It will come to a peak as to what you're really going to be excelling in. And do you guys agree with me on that? The two experts here, that
Yeah.
Shelley, Bruce?
I do, but it's to be strategic about how you want to brand yourself.
Yes.
I mean, for years, I ran away from using Shelley Bauer, because, it was just part of my journey. And then finally, I had to succumb to it. I mean, Shelley Bauer is who they're buying.
That's right.
Integrity-based
Right.
communications, will be a train the trainer. It may be intellectual property that's spun off down the road, but Shelley Bauer is gonna be here for
Right.
the duration. And, in the next lifetime of this lifetime, I may be simply doing something that's nonprofit.
Sure,
So you
sure.
can never go wrong with your own name as
Right.
long as you approach it from a humble point of view as opposed to, look at me, I'm
Yes.
great.
And it also
Agreed.
takes the building process, because if they don't know who you are, that like Her Groove, it's great, you're branding that. In a few years, or even a year, Marisha Sherman is the name that is synonymous with Her Groove.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah.
She's gonna be a one-word name. She's gonna be
Exactly,
Oprah. She's
Marisha,
gonna be
there we go,
Cher.
yeah, exactly.
She's gonna be
So
Oprah.
we are going to wrap up on this because we have something very important, and Rico, I'm gonna come right back to you. But I just wanted to say, I love this. This is our very first focus group that we've had. And if you have additional questions, I encourage you to put those out on Twitter. And we will go to Twitter and we will answer those questions even after this event, okay? So if there's questions that have not been answered. And for why? Since you're on Facebook, the way to get that to hit our Twitter feed is when you do your status update, skip a space and then put @BO Coffee and it will go over to our feed as
It
well.
should be there then.
Okay? All right, so that's a little FYI for you. One more thing I want to show you before we break for coffee, and then we have just like a 5 to 8 minute presentation that's very exciting, okay, because everybody's been asking for this. Once you keep your chairs where they are, we're gonna put a projector right here and go grab some coffee and come right back to your chairs, and Lois, let's get set up, okay? But real quick, Sarah, would you hand me the book? The last thing I want to wrap up on, and there's a reason for this.
The new one.
Does anybody know where, yes, that one.
Okay.
How many of you know what Photofunia is?
I did.
Okay, I was asked online, how did you get your face in the
Oh,
coffee
yeah.
cup? Because I actually had, I have a photo of my face in a coffee cup. But if you see here, this photo was taken by, images by Charlene in Nashville at one of our BOCI SunTrust events. But I'm on a newspaper. How did I get there? This is a free, it takes you about 2 minutes to do this. Go to Photofunia, some people call it Photofunia, but it's Photo, Funia.com. This is one of the best tools I've ever found, is this right here. Because you can put it on a billboard, you can put it in a coffee cup, you can put it on a newspaper, you can change the title of the newspaper. It's very, very effective. So pass that around and you'll see that this guy was already in the template. This is a template photo, okay? And all you do is upload your photo to it. That's what I wanted to end this segment on. We're wrapping up on the how to market yourself and your business. I encourage you in the virtual world, continue to send us questions and comments on Twitter @BOCoffee. We will be answering those for you, and we would love to connect with you. So go to our website at businessovercoffee.com and we'll see you there. And we are continuing to bring everyone together. God bless you.